I wanted to share a few of my favorite experiences the last week or so. And one of them was a community attunement practice that we are practicing together in community. And another favorite experience of mine was in a women's sensual touch workshop and receiving sensual but non-sexual touch from women in sisterhood, and how deeply healing that was to my nervous system. And it just goes to show how deep nervous system rewiring goes when we nourish that circuitry. Hi, if you're just joining in, drop a little like or heart or tell me where you're tuning in from. But we meet in community here where I live in Sundari once a week, and we drop into different practices to commune with the land and each other and connect more deeply. This is the wind communing with me right now. And I was on my moon cycle and just feeling really actually blissed out and relaxed. And we began connecting with a tree or any part of the land that we were called to, but I was called to this eucalyptus tree, and it was just right in front of me, about 20 feet away, but just standing really strong and erect and beautiful. And we've done this practice before, but this had never happened to me before. So I was just sitting there in meditation and letting my womb relax and connect with this tree. And then I had full blissgasms shooting through my system. Like, it was the tree and I were both experiencing, from what I could tell, these electrical pulsations that were happening. You know, for me, I could feel the electricity going up and down the tree, but it was happening up and down my spine. And it was really euphoric and really beautiful and very profound. And then we came back as a group, everyone who lives here. And then we were silently communing with each other. So just looking into each other's eyes and just pausing and feeling and connecting without words to just see, like, what am I feeling with this person in front of me, with just my senses, with just my nervous system, with just my intuition, with just my emotions, with my feelings. And the first person that came around was a man, and he's a good friend of mine, and we interact every day, and we're working on a project together, but we don't always have this container to deeply commune with each other without words, of just being and just being in presence, especially after being in presence with ourselves and with the land. And he sat down in front of me, and we looked in each other's eyes, and there was so much love present. And it doesn't mean, oh, I'm in love with him or he's in love with me. It was just love. It was just unconditional love pouring through our eyes and our beings and for each other. And it was so impactful and so beautiful. Thanks for the hearts if you're dropping some hearts. And it was so intense that we had to look away, or I had to look away. I was like, can we just hold hands and close our eyes? And then we touched hands, and I could feel his masculinity. I could feel the throbbing masculine strength of him through his hands, through his pulse, through the heat, through the strength of his hands. And I was just like, oh, wow. So masculine, like so powerful, so much power in his body, so much energy, so much vitality. And it was just beautiful, and it was overwhelming. And I had never connected with him in that way, even though we've known each other for years. And so this just goes to show, when in relationship, if you are not in a specific container of like, hey, let's just use this next 5 minutes to just commune silently, to just look at each other's eyes and breathe. Or I personally love belly to belly breathing and connecting each other's nervous systems and co-regulating and letting each other like rest in each other, and then finding a deeper coherence, finding a deeper resonance within each other's beings. That is so beautiful, and what we're actually deeply craving that we don't usually get in relationship or friendships or even community. This was a very deep experience, even though we've been doing things like this for over a year. And then I had some women come by and sit in front of me. And so I was also communing with women in the community. And again, their energy, their pulse, the feeling of their hands was so yin. It's so light, so dainty, so feminine. And it's just completely different energy and frequency coming off of them. And I just found that to be really profound in the contrast between this like super masculine man and energy, and then these like really feminine, soft, kind of cooler to the touch, not as much like throbbing pulsation going through the hands, and just how much we can detect in our nervous systems beyond language. And that's the magic of some of the work that I do in sessions is like, what are you feeling in this moment? If you took a deep breath and went inside and allowed both the outside world to make contact with you, but also you're allowing your inner world to make contact inside of yourself. So this is called interoception, and they're the sensations that are from inside the body. And that signals like internal pain or hunger or different kinds of emotions or things that are going on in your nervous system. And it's a beautiful thing to develop if you're wanting to become a better lover, is to have deepened sense of attunement and interoception, because the more that you're feeling and connecting to your body and tracking like what's alive with me, what's going on inside of me, the more that you can actually feel your lover and what's going on inside of them, and tracking their sensations and their pleasure and their emotions. So it's this really beautiful feedback loop when we are co-regulating, co-attuning, co-feeling. And then the other favorite experience that I had this last week was a friend of mine who's teaching this beautiful sensual touch sequence for women. And I don't think I've ever moved with so much subtle energy so slowly for a long period of time. So it was all these like using your fingertips and all these feather light touches. And we mostly did that for about an hour. We did a little bit of oil where it's this kind of like full palm touch of spreading the oil around. And we did it in different body positions, but it's just like having a woman adore you with these like beautiful feather-like touches and fingertip touches, and just loving touch everywhere and in a non-sexual way. And I don't know if I've ever felt, maybe a few times in my life, I've felt my nervous system relax and deepen and drop in such a significant way that I was like, oh, I could be functioning from such a more relaxed, grounded, stable baseline. Then sometimes like I get into this kind of manic anxiety, go, like internal pressure, like not really being fully in the moment. And what happens when our nervous system is so deeply and profoundly nourished, maybe on a level that you've never, ever had before. And who would you be and how would you function in the world if your nervous system was getting a massage? Like quite literally, like these feather-like touches that we were giving each other for an hour was resetting our nervous systems and also releasing oxytocin and dopamine, which, you know, it's kind of like the magical healing science of pleasure. It's like, oh yeah, pleasure heals us, pleasure connects us, pleasure obviously makes us feel amazing. So these are just two deeply profound experiences that I wish everyone to have, and to develop these really simple, really easy, and really profound practices in your love and your relationship life for deeper connection, better sex, more sustainable pleasure, kind of riding that parasympathetic pleasure line of kind of longer and slower elongated pleasure, as opposed to these like really high peaks of sympathetic pleasure where we're running high peak energy, which is fun as well. But if you're a man on the journey of non-ejaculatory orgasms, or you're wanting to last longer, you're really wanting to start from this baseline of parasympathetic pleasure, deep belly breaths, deep relaxation, and obviously letting go of a goal, being non-goal oriented, and being deeper in the moment, and also being available to feel more in each moment. And one of the interesting themes that came up for the women that shared in the closing circle was kind of an upper limit issue of I'm not allowed to feel this much pleasure, or I'm uncomfortable with this much attention on me for an hour, like undivided attention just pouring into me. And that's something that happens when we're making love, is being scared of how much ecstasy, how much euphoria, how much intimacy, how much closeness, how much connection that we're weaving with someone. And so we get to practice these upper limit expansion where we're not contracting around the pleasure, we're not contracting around the connection and the intimacy that we're developing. So I hope you get to just relish in that and take some deep belly breaths and feel and sense your body, your erotic aliveness that's pulsing inside of you, and finding the freedom inside of your own body, the freedom, the liberation, the expression of your true, authentic essence.